Hey, welcome back. My guest this segment is David Rendimonti. He's the president of LiveWell Canada Inc., trading on the TSX Venture under the symbol LVWL. David, welcome.
Pleasure to be here.
David, we have been talking to you continuously pretty much since you got rolling, and you guys are making great strides. What has happened most lately in the timeline that should excite investors?
Yeah, it's great to be back, and a couple of key highlights, I think, for today. Firstly, we just completed the build-out of the first 60,000 square feet of our retrofit on the Ottawa 100-acre facility. 21,000 of that is grow, and we're currently working to submit that to Health Canada imminently. I think that's number one. Number two, we've been having a conversation with everyone across Canada about CBD from industrial hemp. There's been a lot of regulatory changes in Canada. We're seeing the changes emerge in the US, and the World Health Organization is saying that they want to see their member countries remove CBD from industrial hemp from scheduling. And it's amazing. For October 17th, that's coming up, people aren't so much asking me about what they're going to be doing on the weekends or telling me what they're going to be doing on the weekends. They're talking about their health. They're asking me about CBD. What does it mean? How can they get it? And I think that's the start of a great health conversation.
Sure. Well, certainly LiveWell implies more about wellness in association with cannabis than it does recreational intoxication. And I can tell you, and the audience knows this, that I consume 20 grams of CBD every morning because it has created shorter recovery times in connective tissue after exercise. It gives me a much deeper and more satisfying sleep, and it allows me to concentrate on single items mentally without being subjected to the normal pop up in this corner of the window distractions. I can focus, which are three reasons that have made me realize that, hey, I'm going to do this every day of my life. Intoxicating THC side, not so much. I mean, I did that rampantly and daily as a teenager, but I have no interest in that. So how are you going to capture the opportunity in the emerging realization that CBD is actually a real wellness product?
Well, I think in the first case is the conversations. I mean, we're talking about it right now. We've been hearing it from people across Canada. In the US, it's happening already. And what we have to do as a company is make sure that we're ready for what people need. And so we've done a few things. We've contracted for a significant amount of industrial hemp feedstock, 1,000 acres, so that we can process CBD. We'll be able to process a significant amount of that. It means that we have to work to get our processing operations up in the first half of next year, not only for cannabis, but for hemp as well. And the good news is we have extraordinary technology in extraction and isolation to be able to do that. And thirdly, you have to be a licensed producer in Canada, and we're working very actively to be one of the key players. So you have to have a few things together. We're doing that, and to be ready to make sure that we've got CBD available on the marketplace, but also ready for extraordinary partnerships as well.
Right. 1,000 acres of hemp for CBD. How much feedstock will that generate in this? That's a single growing season, outdoor, naturally, no lights, no capex.
That's right. That's right. So maybe a little hemponomics.
Hemponomics.
Yeah, the way we look at it. There we go.
You heard
Word
it
of the
here
day.
first.
Word of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 1,000 acres conservatively can help to produce about 25,000 kilograms of isolated or purified CBD. And if you think about that, that's a large amount that can be put into derivative products over time, like you say, for this season. And then we can do that ongoing plantings each year to capture that feedstock.
Sure. I'm curious as to the issues surrounding cannabis as an ingredient as it pertains to things like beverages and topical creams and foodstuffs. There has been emerging sort of increasing level of buzz in the industry itself that one of the bigger problems that doesn't quite seem to have a solution yet is the idea of CBD and THC degeneration over time on the shelf. And so is that something that you have considered at this point? Have you solved that problem, or is it not that much of a problem?
Oh, I think it's an ongoing problem, but really we shouldn't look at it as a constraint, rather an opportunity in terms of how we develop our technology programs and our scientific programs. And so these are issues that consumer packaged goods companies and other organizations have solved over the years, having long dated shelf life, The pharmaceutical industry has solved that to develop products and programs. And we'll be doing the same. So we do have insights to how to tackle that. It does require good science. It does require good insight, testing and development, and it requires partnership. We won't be developing all of these insights and technologies within our organization. We'll be partnering selectively and to our advantage outside, and we're already having those conversations. So there are solutions. I think everybody should know. It does take a little bit of work, and you have to do great product development work. You have to collect your data. You have to develop your insights, and in our case, proprietary insights, and then we'll create great products together for ourselves and with other companies as well.
Great. How soon until we can buy CBD products for, so I'm acquiring and ingesting CBD products in a dubious legal relationship with the supplier that neither one of us care to ask too much about, but CBD is not a Schedule I drug, and so it's kind of, it's in a gray zone right now, especially with the sort of diminishing regulation as now demonstrated by the United States. So how does that, like, how soon until we can actually have that that we can buy it at Shoppers Drug Mart without a prescription?
Well, I think that one's a little bit more of a longer timeline. We don't have a clear framework for how the CBD, or at least CBD from industrial hemp, would be available from the pharmacy chains, or just general stores, if you will. That will take a little bit of time. I think what will happen in the short term is that the same product availability, whether prescription or adult access, will take place. That'll be dried flower and that'll be oil. I think as we move into 2019, we'll see the first derivative products approved when we have that next change in our regulatory framework for derivative products, whether it's edibles or infused or orals. And I think that'll be in the latter part of 2019. I think the broader regulatory framework in terms of just open access in a pharmacy chain, we're not going to see that in 2019, and I think we'll have to work collaboratively with Health Canada and as an industry to understand how to open up that channel. I think the regulators want to understand CBD as it's differentiated from THC, and I think once they have a clear insight to that, we'll see the channels open up considerably.
Sure. So, I've made these discoveries about the efficacy of CBD ingestion on a daily basis on not an unsubstantial dose, but I've endured no negative side effects whatsoever, even after I took a week and said, I gotta question the habit-forming nature of this. Am I at risk of psychological dependency? And so I stopped for a week, and there was no downside. There was no withdrawal. There was no anxiety for the fact that I didn't have my CBD. I, in fact, forgot within 2 days that I'd been taking CBDs every day and more or less carried about my business. And only occasionally when I would be doing 5 things and suddenly I forget what I'm doing again, would I be like, oh, that's right, I haven't done my CBDs today. But you can't make these claims based on an anecdotal experience of an individual user. And so this is where I'm really interested in how the cannabis industry and LPs like yourself are going to drive the conversation forward. I'm not going to stop doing CBDs, and the conversation and the deregulation are starting to approach where I'm not in the gray zone at all. However, what is the outlook for that whole thing? I mean, in terms of, like, you can't make representation, so how's the world going to know that CBDs have this effect except by anecdotal experience, and they're not going to wait for the doctors to do the clinical studies over years and time? They just want to get on this program now.
Well, I think there's a couple of things. I think you've hit it on perfectly. The first one is people are going to try to self-medicate, and that's happening right now, and you've described it very well, and you're not the only one.
Notice how calm I am.
Yeah, I see how calm you are. I'm actually calm sitting here.
Yeah, that's right.
I think the thing is the medical conversation that needs to take place first and foremost. I think clinicians that have prescribed cannabis or CBD alone need to be a part of the conversation and share with patients and share with the general community what they see and what's available, how they dose and how they, I've heard start low and go slow. I think our job as an LP is to collect data.
Right.
You know, I think from our perspective and LiveWell's perspective, how we're organizing ourselves and building our capabilities is that we want to bring evidence of how our products work in animal models so that we have evidence-based products and that we can coordinate the development through formulation and manufacturing as well. And again, we're building that capability. We have to do it. So I think what people are looking for is not just anecdotal experience, but how they can build on sequential evidence experience and insight so that they can make really great and safe choices. Mm-hmm. Now, I think there's a body of evidence that's great, that's starting, but we have to continue to invest in that.
Sure. Okay, now from an investment perspective, I'm intrigued by LiveWell because I know that Canopy Rivers, which is Canopy Growth's investment enterprise, recently gone public, is a 15% shareholder at this point?
Diluted 11%.
Okay, so 11%. How does this imply that you have a exposure to the full Canopy ecosystem of marketing and product development, or is this merely an investment by their investment wing?
I think it's a little bit more, and we've actually discovered that the relationship has been growing. So when we first started our conversation and our partnership with Canopy, it was a little bit like big brother, big sister. You never know what you get with your big brother and big sister. But it's been great. They've helped us with our applications, with our standard operating procedures, engineering, operational insights. I tease everybody, their drying room version 8 is our drying room version 1. I mean, it's an incredible opportunity to learn and to grow. I think more importantly, we have ongoing conversations, daily and weekly, about other opportunities, and I think that'll continue to grow. So I think the short answer is, yes, we see ongoing conversation. We want to learn from their capabilities. We actually think we have some as well to share back through their ecosystem, and so it's been a growing partnership. It's been great.
Sure. So the original business model that was stated by the company, essentially a food sort of born enterprise associated with cannabis, have you pivoted now more to a CBD focus, or is that still very much a part of the program and part of the growing sort of future revenue stream?
I think it's a piece of it. I think where we've grown is to a broader insight around CBD and industrial hemp and what scale can do. I think when we look at our operations for cannabis, what scale can do and how we can bring a broader health benefit to Canadians, but also set up a footprint for a global opportunity and operation as well. I think where food fits in here and our insights and certification in the past is around edibles and infused, and that'll come back into our future for sure.
Okay, great, David. Well, very enlightening as usual. Thank you very much for joining me today.
Thank you.